Hi, this is Ashley with Endless Adventures in Van Life. Thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to go over RV Trip Wizard, how you do a route plan, a detailed explanation of all the options in the program. And when you first log in, you're going to be on this screen. And as you can see down here, that they do offer a 7-day free trial. Now, I'm not associated with the company at all or compensated in any way, so this is just my experience with it. So we'll go to Planner. Let it load up here. Now, if I was coming back to work on an old trip, I would open this, and then I can open one of these trips and continue working on it. So you can save your work and come back to it. But we're going to create a new trip. So first it wants us to name it. So we'll call this YouTube trip. If you know the date, you can click yes. If you don't, click no. You can change the date here. For this example, we'll just use today's date. The trip name is already in use, so we'll put A1 after that. Create. Now it's going to ask you where you want your starting location to be. If you want it to start exactly where you're at, you can just use my location. It would use my home address. For this case, we'll use Gainesville, Florida. We'll click Start here. Let it load up. So the first thing you want to do is the trip settings screen is going to pop up. So you can change the name, add some trip notes if you wanted to. The trip status is active for this one. If it was tentative, you could set it as tentative. If it's a trip you've already been on, you could archive it. I save the trip so I can go back and see locations I've stayed before and areas I've been in and campground information or where I camped. It'll send you an email, a pre-trip email if you want. Go over here to RV information. It will look up your RV if you don't know all the information for it, but we're going to manually input it. So my van is 11 feet, 24 feet long, about 10,000 pounds. Are you carrying propane? No. If you clicked yes on this and you were carrying propane, it would route you around tunnels and bridges and things where you can't use propane. I picked my fuel type as diesel. I have a 24-gallon tank. The fuel reserve is 10. Miles per gallon is, for me, it's about 15. Now, if you want a fuel warning, it'll give you one. You can set it to no or multiple fuel warnings. So now we'll go to routing and driving. RV routing will automatically tell you about height restrictions, weight restrictions, propane restrictions, things like that. If you put standard routing, it won't tell you that information. It'll just route you through there. If you're in a car or something, you might use standard routing. I have avoid tolls. I like taking the back roads, so I will put avoid highways. Avoid tunnels. Avoid unpaved roads. I don't mind dirt roads, so I'll leave that like that. So we're going to put in our driving time, so we'll use this using routing engine estimate. And then when you get down here, you can do it by set distance, minimums, middle, and maximum. And I'll tell you about that in a bit, but I'm just going to put in 6 hours. That's my normal driving time. You could calculate expenses. Average cost per gallon, then it'll calculate your gas and your lodging and your meals for the entire trip. Now we'll finish and save. All right, now we started out in Gainesville. So that's what you see, that little bouncing flag right there. So before we do that, we'll go up here and I'll show you the filters. If you want to turn some things off, you click here. You can set by park type, commercial, state parks, Canadian national parks, BLM land, DNR land, city parks, Corps of Engineers, military family camp, county parks, U.S. Forest Service. And those will all show up down here, the ones that you want. If you go to points of interest, it'll tell you fuel stops, where Bass Pro Shops are, Cabela's, rest areas, Cracker Barrels, Walmarts, Elks, things like that, all the way down into these very detailed things, dentists, doctors, gyms. The last one, hazard. I have low clearance in here. You could put other hazards in there. We'll draw that back. Now we'll go out a little bit. We'll zoom out. And you see this perimeter. This is set by the time you set that you want to dry up at 6 hours. So this basically is telling me at the 6 hour point, I should be right about in here. So what we'll do is I'm going to go to, say, Denver. Denver, Colorado. I just use this as a bookmark. I'll be changing this one later on. We're going to put add stop. I won't put any of this information. I'll explain it later. Save custom stop. Now, if you see over here, this is where we started. This is the end stop. So I want to go back to Gainesville, so I can start from there. So I click on this. On the map, it'll take you back to Gainesville. So I'll just zoom out. Go up here. To about here, where it says I should be at 6 hours. So all these green things are campgrounds. So let's click on one. It takes you a little bit closer. These red ones with the castle are COE campgrounds. So I like saying that those are fairly inexpensive and they're usually in a nice area and well taken care of. So Gunter Hill Campground, we'll click on park details. But you get a little bit of information here. It tells you some of the services. Dogs are allowed. They have electric. This one tells you that Wi-Fi isn't good. The dollar signs over here. $1 sign is $5 to $20 and so on, as you can see. Let's look at the park details. On this page, it'll give you the phone number, the website for the campground if there is one. You can see a satellite map that might help you get in if you're in a bigger rig. We go over here to features. This tells you more detailed on what they have and more about the connectivity, what services come in there. Next tab is reviews. Long, flat, and spacious sites. That's good. It tells you they pay $10 or $15 a night. And you could read through these if you wanted to. They all seem to be fairly good, 4 and 5 star reviews. In this, they'll give you tips. You might see things like difficult for big rigs, take the third right, things like that in here. They might tell you about restaurants that are in the general area, things like that. The weather tab is just that. It tells you the average weather in that area. This is near Montgomery. And then it tells you exactly what the weather is, or will be for the week that you're on. All right, so we want to pick this one. Up here it tells you this is 369 miles from where we originated from. So I want to add this stop to our trip. So then it's going to ask you number of nights you're going to stay. We're going to stay one night. We don't want to lock the date of stay because we may want to modify it later on. We want it to be after the Gainesville stop. And in here you can put COE campground. You don't really need to do that, but I will show you what this is useful more in a little bit. So now we'll add that stop. Now you see it came up over here. Again, it tells us that it's 360 miles from Gainesville, 6 hours and 47 minutes. It's a little long, but we'll set it for this example. Over here, it shows you on the map, kind of detailed how far off the route you need to go to get to it, and where exactly it is. So now the next one, we're going to start from there. Now our perimeter moved out, because now we're going from a new stop. So now we're saying it's about 6 hours from Greenwood. So say, for example, I wanted to stay at a Harvest Host. At this point, I would pull up my Harvest Host app. I would plug in Greenwood and see if there's a Harvest Host. If there is in that general area, then what I could do, because they're not on this map, then what I could do is I could actually put the address of the Harvest Host in here, and I could set that as your stop. And then if you did that, then you could write down in the comments the name of the Harvest Host, the phone number, and things like that. For this example, we will pick this campground. It drills us in a little bit more. This is right on our route. It's got 3.5 stars. Not too bad. It's got $2 signs, so we know it's between $21 and $40. We'll click on Park Details. Check out the features, make sure they allow pets for my dog. And the connectivity is Verizon, which I have, that works. Look at reviews. You need to call the phone number. You leave a payment in the mailbox. A bid off 82. Take Second Street to site, things like that. You're looking for the bad reviews. Campground is loud, or a lot of permanent residents, things like that. So we will go ahead and pick this one. It's 303 miles from our last stop, not from Gainesville, from the last stop. We'll put one in here. I want this to go in, not the last stop, because the last stop is Denver. So I want this to be in after Gunter Hill Campground. So let's pretend this is a Harvest Host. So if this is the Harvest Host, I put Harvest Host, name, phone number, details, if any, on check-in. The name of a person or whatnot. So we'll add that. Now we have our second stop. And then we just continue that as we go. Now we know that's the one we're on because it's highlighted green. So we'll zoom out again. Now if you want to see your route without all the campgrounds on it, we just go over here, click this little icon, it takes them off. Now you can see the roads a little better. You can drill down, things like that. But we want to see the campgrounds for this. So we'll go over here. We'll pick another one. All right, there's a bunch of COE campgrounds here. Here's one on a little lake. The picture looks nice. It's 4.5 stars. Has 4 reviews. Park details. Look at our reviews again. Everything looks good. We'll add this stop. We'll put it in at the end. Add stop. Ooh. I forgot to add the number of nights. So I'll put the number of nights over here. It will calculate your fuel cost if you set that up in the beginning. You can, but we know this one is $15. So we'll calculate for the whole trip. Here's your phone number again. Click save, and now that set it up over here. And so the Cinnamon Denver, this is your overall miles, your overall time if you drove straight. And each one of these is the time it'll take from your last stop and the miles from the last stop. And the cost over here if you've set that up. Now, if you want to edit this, you just go to the little pencil. You can change anything in here. We don't need to do that. You could delete this stop if you want to find another one. Now, if you want to, for example, say you know somebody in Fort Townsend here, we can turn on drag route. I can grab the route, bring it down to here, and then it'll recalculate to there and route you a different way if you want to, or if you want to go in some particular area. I like going the back roads. It takes you around all the cities normally. So it tells you a lot of information. Now it's telling me the reason why it's orange or yellow here is because it's telling me I can't get there without getting on a highway. So there may be parts where I need to go on a highway. I'm not too worried about that. Another COE campground there. So yeah, it's fairly easy to operate, and it works good if you just get into it, practice, do a couple practice runs. You'll easily get the hang of it. You can show the entire trip. Click here. It'll show you your whole route with all your stops. It'll give you like where you should take a coffee break if you've been driving too long, things like that. Again, if you want to take all those campgrounds off, click this. Now you're just seeing the map. Now the back. All right. Thanks for watching. If you got something out of this video, let me know. Give me a like and subscribe if you want more good content. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments. I answer all the comments, and I will get back to you with any answers. And thank you for joining me. Adventure on.